Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hit the like button, share your thoughts, subscribe, and tap the bell icon. The heel of her boot hit the marble floor like a warning shot. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice calm but firm. He wore a navy coat that had clearly seen too many winters. "I'm here to see Mr. Harper." The receptionist didn't look up. Her acrylic nails clacked rapidly against the keyboard. "No appointments after 9:30, she replied without a glance. "You'll need to come back tomorrow." "I'm not late," the man said. "I am Mr. Harper." That made her stop. She looked up slowly, brows raised in disbelief, scanning the man from head to toe. He had close-cropped salt and pepper hair, a plain coat, worn shoes, no designer watch, no assistant trailing behind. He didn't look like money. He looked like someone who took the subway. Then she laughed, out loud. "Yeah, right," she scoffed. "You're Mr. Harper. That's cute." His eyes didn't move. He didn't smile. Her name tag read Mara. She sat back in her chair, arms crossed now, sizing him up like he was a guy selling fake cologne in the parking lot. "I said," he repeated, "I'm Mr. Harper, CEO. This is my company. You got ID?" she challenged, tilting her head. Instead of answering, he reached into his coat and pulled out a phone, pressed one button, put it to his ear. "Yes," he said, his tone shifting into something colder, clearer. "Terminate the front desk, effective immediately, and send security to escort her out." Her smirk vanished. "Wait, what?" she stammered. "Hold on. Wait, I didn't know. I thought 2 suited security guards appeared like they'd been waiting for this moment." "Sir," one said, nodding respectfully at the man. "We'll handle it." Mara stood, palms up, panic rising in her throat. "This can't be real. You didn't look like nobody told me you were." Mr. Harper walked past her like she was furniture, then stopped, turned just enough to glance over his shoulder. "You didn't ask," he said, voice steady. "You assumed." And just like that, she was gone. Walked out past stunned interns and wide-eyed co-workers. A few pulled out phones. Someone whispered, "That's the guy. That's him." 1 hour later, the boardroom on the 32nd floor was dead silent. 12 executives in expensive suits sat around the glass table, faces tense. No laptops, no small talk, just phones, face down, eyes forward. Mr. Harper stood at the head of the table. No slideshow, no tech, just a single black folder in his hand. "I know what's been happening," he began, his voice calm but sharp. "You didn't think I would find out because I was sick, but I did." He opened the folder and pulled out a set of documents, photographs, bank statements, transfers. "These aren't just numbers," he said, laying them one by one on the table. "These are the signatures of people in this room." The CFO paled visibly. The head of marketing wiped sweat from his upper lip, and Cassandra, VP of operations, leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. "You've been gone 7 months, she said coolly. "No one even knew where you were. You just disappeared, and now you're throwing accusations." "I had stage 3 lymphoma," Harper replied without blinking. "I didn't tell anyone. I needed time to see who would protect this company and who would bury it while I was fighting for my life." The room was ice. "I recovered," he said, quietly, came back quietly. "I've been watching, listening, and now," he placed a final photo on the table, a single signature on a fake invoice, Cassandra's. "Now, I'm cleaning house." Across town that same day, Mara sat on the edge of a cheap motel bed, her coat still on. The curtains were drawn shut, casting everything in sickly yellow light. Her phone buzzed again. Another notification, another headline. "Receptionist fired after insulting CEO who she didn't recognize. Harper returns. Viral office moment ends in shocking takeover." A text from her sister read, "Girl, you're trending. It's everywhere. Are you okay?" Mara wasn't okay. She'd worked reception for 10 years. She could read people. She had to. It was survival. Clients, execs, HR reps, creeps, they all passed by her desk. She developed a radar. How they dressed, how they walked, how they looked at her. That's how you knew who mattered. Harper hadn't walked like someone important. He'd walked like someone invisible, just like her. But now, it wasn't just a bad day. She was viral, a punchline, the face of arrogance. And she had no job, no backup, no plan. She curled forward, pressing her forehead into her knees. Hot shame burned in her chest. But then, something stirred. It wasn't just shame, it was confusion, anger. Why Had he come in like that, alone, dressed down like he wanted to be ignored? It didn't sit right. She picked up her phone and opened his photo on one of the news stories. Then, she went deeper, searched his name, found old interviews, company records, charity events, and there it was. A photo, time-stamped from 2 months ago. He was supposed to still be recovering in Switzerland then, but the photo showed him in a Manhattan restaurant with Cassandra, the same Cassandra from the boardroom. And that's when Mara knew, something about this was way bigger than just her. The photo she wasn't supposed to find. Mara stared at the screen until her eyes burned. There he was, Mr. Harper, the man who'd fired her just hours earlier, sitting at a high-end restaurant with Cassandra Whitmore, Vice President of Operations. The photo was time-stamped March 8th, exactly 2 months ago, but the official company statement had said Harper was recovering in Switzerland at that time. So what was he doing in Manhattan? And more importantly, why was he having dinner with Cassandra, the same woman he'd just accused of fraud? Her stomach twisted. Was it all staged? Was she just a pawn in some bigger, more twisted corporate game? The thought settled like ice in her chest. She pulled the photo into a folder, started searching deeper. Not just Harper, but the company, the board, the transitions during his sick leave, who was hired, who was promoted, who had access. And there, buried in an old article from a startup blog, was another detail. The company hadn't just stayed afloat during Harper's absence, it had skyrocketed. Stock price up, 3 new investors, a multi-million-dollar merger just 3 weeks before his return, all handled by Cassandra. Mara sat back, mind racing. This wasn't about a receptionist with an attitude. This was something else. She had to know more. Downtown Manhattan. The next morning, Cassandra slammed the door to her office and locked it behind her. She didn't trust anyone now, not after yesterday. Harper's surprise return had blindsided everyone. The public thought he'd come back a hero, exposing corporate corruption after a quiet battle with cancer. But she knew better. He was calculating, cold, and if he thought she would go down quietly, he had no idea who he was dealing with. She sat at her desk and opened her laptop, typed a password into a secure folder. Aegis Protocol, a spreadsheet, loaded offshore. Transactions, burner phone numbers, names, including his. They were all supposed to be protected under the agreement. No one was supposed to turn, so why had he exposed them? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You lost control. Time to clean it up, or we all burn. Her hands clenched. This wasn't just corporate fraud. This was deeper shell companies, international accounts, misused funds from a cancer research foundation that Harper himself had started. If the public found out, she slammed the laptop shut. No, it wouldn't come to that. She'd buried worse secrets than this. Mara's apartment that afternoon. Mara hadn't slept. Her motel money ran out, so she'd taken a bus back to her old neighborhood. Her cousin offered her a couch, no questions asked, but her mind didn't stop spinning. She couldn't stop thinking about that dinner photo. The date, the look on Harper's face. It wasn't casual, it was strategic. She replayed every moment of yesterday, the way he looked at her, cold, calculating, almost like he was testing her. But for what? To punish her, or to send a message to someone else? She opened her cracked laptop and began writing everything down. Dates, names, the timeline, the shift in the company during his absence, the sudden rise in Cassandra's authority, the photo, her firing, everything. And as she wrote, something clicked. What if her firing wasn't personal at all? What if it was public on purpose? A public humiliation to start a chain reaction? Mara felt a chill run through her spine. She grabbed her coat and headed out. She needed answers, and there was only one person who might talk. Fort Greene, 6:40 p.m. Mara found the address after a bit of digging. Harper's personal assistant from 2 years ago, a woman named Lisette Martin. She'd left the company quietly and never showed up in any press. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of a red brick walk-up. Mara buzzed. No answer. She was about to leave when the door opened, just a crack. Lisette peeked out, eyes wary. "Who are you?" "I'm no one," Mara said quickly. "But I think we've both been used." Lisette's eyes narrowed. "Used how?" Mara held up her phone, showing the dinner photo. "You see the date?" Lisette opened the door wider, looked her face. "Darkened. That was 2 weeks before Harper asked me to destroy documents. I refused." The next day, I got a severance check and a non-disclosure threat. Mara's breath caught. He paid you to disappear. Lisette nodded. He said it was for the company. Said he was protecting something bigger. That if the truth came out, it would ruin lives. Mara stepped closer. Did he mention Cassandra? Lisette hesitated. He said someone on the board had turned on him. Someone who wanted the company for themselves. But he wouldn't say who. Mara's mind raced. So Harper had been hiding something. But why expose Cassandra now? Why not deal with her quietly? Unless he wants her to panic, Mara said out loud. He's baiting her into a mistake. Lisette's eyebrows rose. You think he's setting her up? I think he's setting all of us up, Mara replied. And I'm going to find out. Why? That night, Cassandra's penthouse. Cassandra poured a glass of wine and stared out the floor-to-ceiling window. The city blinked below like a warning. She knew Harper, knew how far he'd go. But this firing the receptionist publicly, revealing the offshore accounts, making himself the face of justice, this wasn't just retaliation, it was a chess move, and she hated being someone's pawn. She picked up her phone, dialed a number she hadn't used in months. Hey, she said when the line picked up. It's me. A pause then. Is it time? She took a sip of wine. Yes, if we don't shut him down now, he'll burn us all. They warned her to stop, but what she found was just the beginning. Mara stared at the email, her fingers frozen above the keyboard. They're watching you now. Be careful what you dig up next. The words blinked on the screen like a countdown. She reread them 5 times. Every letter felt heavy. Real. No sender, no subject line, just the warning. Her first instinct was fear. Her second was rage. They wanted her afraid. They wanted her to shut up, disappear, vanish like she never existed. Just another nobody who got in the way. Not this time. She reached for her phone, but paused. If they were watching her, even that might be risky. Cameras, microphones, GPS. Her hands trembled as she shut the laptop, unplugged it, and pulled the battery out. Then, just to be safe, she slid it under the loose floorboard behind her cousin's couch. She needed air. She needed answers, and she knew exactly where to start. Downtown, Library Archives, 2:17 p.m. The city archives were nearly empty, which made Mara feel safer, only slightly. She'd walked 4 blocks, then another 6 in the wrong direction before circling back, just in case anyone was following her. She wasn't paranoid. Not anymore. She was smart. With a public computer and gloves, she searched through the company's old annual reports. Buried within financials and market updates were the names of dozens of now-defunct shell organizations. Some had been absorbed, others vanished after 1 or 2 years of existence. But one kept appearing, Rain Cove Holdings. It had no website, no phone number, but it had signed documents connected to one of Harper's cancer research subsidiaries, one that had gone silent. During his so-called treatment in Switzerland, a single line in the 2023 report caught her eye. Disbursement of $8.4 million through Rain Cove for offshore R&D licensing, approved by VP Whitmore. Cassandra, and Harper's signature was right next to hers. Mara's breath caught. It wasn't black and white. They weren't enemies. They were partners. At least they had been. So what changed? Why expose her now? Harper's private estate. That evening Harper stood alone in the winter garden behind his home. The wind cut across the stones like glass, but he didn't move. His assistant, Jonah, approached quietly. She's looking into Rain Cove, Jonah said. Harper didn't turn. How close? Too close. She found the Rain Cove trail and probably knows you and Cassandra were linked through it. She's not backing off. She's braver than I expected, Harper muttered. Foolish, but brave. Jonah hesitated. Do you want me to shut it down? Harper's jaw tightened. No, he said. Not yet. Let her keep digging. When she gets close enough, she'll lead us to the real threat. Jonah frowned. I thought Cassandra was the threat. She was, Harper replied. But she's just a symptom. There's someone else, someone pulling strings even I can't see yet. He finally turned to face his assistant, and Mara might be the only person unpredictable enough to expose them. Mara's cousin's apartment, 9:42 p.m. Mara returned to find the living room lights off. Weird. Her cousin always left at least one lamp on. Jen, she called, setting her bag down. No answer. She walked into the kitchen. Something was off. The air felt too still, like it had been disturbed, then sealed back up again. Then she saw it. The floorboard behind the couch. The one she'd hidden her Laptop under was slightly out of place. Her pulse spiked. She dropped to her knees, yanked the board up and found the laptop was gone. Her heart pounded in her ears. She spun around and bolted into the bedroom. Clothes dumped out, drawers half open, bathroom door ajar, but empty. She called her cousin's name again. Still no answer. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "We warned you. You didn't listen. Next time it won't just be your computer. We take..." Meanwhile, Cassandra's private jet. Cassandra leaned back in the leather seat. Swirling a glass of scotch. Across from her sat a man in a tailored suit, face half hidden in the low cabin light. "He's letting her get too close," she said. "She's connecting the dots. Ring Cove, the licensing trail, the Switzerland lie, and worst, she's reckless. She's also disposable," the man said smoothly. "We'll use her, then erase her." Cassandra tilted her head. "What if she's already spoken to the press?" "She hasn't," he replied. "We have access to her emails, her clout, her phone. She's more careful than we thought, but not careful enough." Cassandra sipped her drink. "I want Harper gone," she said. "For good this time." The man smiled. "Let's start with the girl." Later that night, rooftop Midtown. Mara stood on the roof of her cousin's building, hoodie pulled tight over her head. She held her cracked phone in both hands, debating whether to call Lisette again. But before she could press call, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned fast. A man in a black jacket was walking straight toward her. No hesitation, no disguise. "Hey," she shouted, "back off." The man didn't speak. Mara backed toward the edge of the roof. Her phone slipped from her hand, smashed against the concrete. The man broke into a run. She sprinted the other way, behind a vent, then a chimney, until she found the stairwell and slammed the door shut behind her. She locked it. Her breath came in gasps. She knew then this wasn't a game. Someone had broken into her safe space, stolen her laptop, sent a man to silence her, and she still didn't know why. But she was going to find out, even if it killed her. The person she trusted most was the one lying all along. Mara didn't sleep. She couldn't. Even after she double-locked the apartment door, wedged a chair beneath the handle, and pulled the curtains tight, her body refused to rest. Her laptop was gone. Her cousin was missing. And someone had chased her across the rooftop like she was a threat, like she knew something she wasn't supposed to. Only ... She still didn't know what. And now, she was alone. Or so she thought, until her phone lit up again. Unknown number. "You can't run from the truth forever, but you can die trying." Mara stared at the message until her eyes blurred. Then she powered the phone off and hurled it across the room. Her breath was shallow. Her head pounded. But then suddenly she remembered something. A USB. She'd given one to Jen her cousin ago, just in case something ever happened. She had backed up photos, some tax files, but more importantly, fragments of her research, shell companies, emails, old media clippings. Jen would have kept it safe. She always did, which meant, if they took Jen, they might not know about the USB. Mara grabbed her backpack, shoved what little cash she had into her coat, and slipped out the back door. She knew exactly where to go. Redline storage to 1023. M. The storage unit was barely 4x4, no ventilation, and stank of mildew. But it was safe, cheap, untraceable. Mara kept it for emergencies, back when she thought emergencies meant running from exes or losing her apartment. Not international conspiracy, not attempted murder. She unlocked the unit and flicked on the tiny overhead bulb. Dust floated in the air like glitter in sunlight. At the back, behind some old winter coats and boxes of books, was a cracked plastic lockbox. Her fingers shook as she opened it. There it was, the USB, tucked inside a sunglasses case. She plugged it into her old burner laptop, one of the only devices she hadn't lost. Within seconds, the files loaded. Financial reports, internal memos, meeting transcripts from board calls, and then an audio file, untitled, no metadata. She clicked it. Harper's voice. "If this gets out, I'm finished. Cassandra will deny everything, of course. But the Rain Cove leak wasn't just her mistake, it was all of us. We signed off. We profited. We lied." Mara paused, rewound. "There was more. They'll come after me first, sure. But then they'll bury the others, even the ones who didn't know they were involved. It's how they work. Guilt by association." A cold realization hit her. Harper wasn't trying to expose Cassandra. He was trying to protect himself by burning down everyone else. Private bar, Midtown Manhattan. Cassandra stirred her drink slowly, her red-painted nails tapping against the glass. Across from her, Harper sat calm, clean-cut, the picture of composure. You underestimated her, she said. That receptionist. She's digging deeper than your own board ever did. Harper smirked. And that's exactly why I'm letting her. Cassandra narrowed her eyes. You think this ends with her being your attack dog? I think, Harper said, leaning forward, she's angry enough to expose all of you, and desperate enough to think it was her idea. Cassandra sipped her drink. You haven't changed. No, he said coolly. I've just stopped pretending to be the good guy. A silence stretched between them. Then Cassandra said, Do you know who leaked the Rain Cove ledger in the first place? Harper blinked. It wasn't you. She shook her head. It was someone closer than either of us expected. Harper leaned back, suddenly uneasy. Who? Cassandra smiled, slow and venomous. Let's just say, Mara's not the only one you should be watching. Mara's safe house that evening. She was halfway through another set of audio logs when someone knocked on the door. Her blood froze. She stayed silent. The knock came again 3 times. Then a voice. Mara, it's me, Jen. Please open the door. Mara scrambled to her feet, cracked the curtain. It was Jen, pale, shivering, alone. She opened the door and pulled her cousin inside. Where have you been? She whispered. I was taken, Jen said, voice shaky. To guys, black SUV. They took me to a warehouse, asked questions about you, your files, your research. Mara's throat tightened. What did you tell them? Nothing. I swear, I didn't know anything. Jen broke down, shaking. Mara hugged her, too relieved to question anything further until she noticed something strange. Jen's bag. It was the same brown leather satchel Mara had seen 3 nights ago when she'd hidden the USB in it. But now, the USB was back with her. How did you escape? Mara asked suddenly. Jen looked up. They just let me go. Said it was a mistake. A mistake. Mara pulled back. That doesn't make sense. They've been threatening me, chasing me. Why would they let you go? Jen froze, and that's when Mara saw it. The tiniest mic tucked inside her cousin's coat lining. Her stomach dropped. You led them here, Mara whispered. Jen's eyes welled. I didn't mean to. Mara was already moving, yanking the laptop cord, shoving everything back in her bag. Get out, she said, voice shaking. Now, Mara, please. I said get out. Jen stood frozen, tears falling. Then she left. Mara locked the door behind her and slid to the floor, heart pounding like a war drum. She was no longer just in danger. She was surrounded. Final scene. Secret underground office. Jonah placed a tracker on a wall map. She's on the move again. Harper studied the blinking light. Good, let her run. Jonah hesitated. And the cousin, she served her purpose. Harper said, voice flat. If Mara doesn't surrender the original files by tomorrow, make sure she disappears. The secret she found could bring down the entire company or kill her first. The cab Mara jumped into was barely held together. Cracked windshield, worn leather seats, the smell of cheap pine air freshener fighting something far worse. But it felt like sanctuary. For now, where to? The driver asked. She hesitated. Nowhere felt safe, but she needed to get off the grid. Just drive, she muttered. I'll tell you when to stop. As the cab pulled away from the curb, Mara hunched in the back seat, eyes darting to the rear window. No black SUVs, no Jen, no obvious tails, but she couldn't shake the feeling that every step she took was exactly what someone wanted. She still didn't know who to trust. She barely trusted herself. But there was one last person she hadn't spoken to, someone who'd reached out weeks ago quietly, carefully, with a strange, vague message. Lisette, the journalist, the one who'd said, if you ever see Harper's name next to Rankoff, run, then call me. Mara hadn't listened then. She was ready to listen now. Old Calf in Queens. 10:42 a.m. Lisette was already there, seated in the back booth, hood up, fingers wrapped around a steaming mug of coffee. She didn't look surprised when Mara walked in, just gestured to the empty seat across from her. No one followed you? I don't think so, Mara whispered. Lisette didn't smile. That's not good enough. Because if they know you're talking to me, we're both dead. Mara swallowed. Then let's get to the point. She plugged in the USB, pulled out her laptop, and began to explain everything. Rankov, the audio files, the secret approval signatures, the shell companies bleeding money into unknown accounts. Lisette's face darkened. You don't know what this is really about, do you? Mara blinked. It's about Harper and Cassandra and fraud. No, Lisette interrupted. It's about a medical trial, one they never finished, one that killed 16 people. Mara's blood went cold. What? Lisette leaned in. The company funneled experimental treatments through Rainkov treatments they weren't legally allowed to test. They bribed doctors, faked reports, and buried the bodies behind lawsuits and NDAs. Mara felt like she couldn't breathe. So, the cancer treatments were real, and they worked. But only for Harper. Because he was never in Switzerland. He was here, getting the real version of the drug. But the others got diluted versions. Faulty ones. Some died. Others disappeared. And Cassandra. She helped sign it all off. Mara shook her head. This can't be real. Lisette slid a folder across the table. Photos, testimonies, autopsy records. This is what they'll kill you for. Mara opened the folder and felt the weight of 16 lives press against her chest. She couldn't unsee them, couldn't unknow this. This will destroy the company. She said. Lisette nodded. And Harper, and Cassandra, and everyone tied to Rainkov. A pause. But it'll destroy you, too. Meanwhile, Harper's estate. Jonah entered Harper's study, holding a tablet. We have a problem. Harper didn't look up. Let me guess. She found Lisette. Jonah froze. How did you know? Because I would have, Harper said calmly. She's predictable, desperate, and now she knows about the trial. Jonah hesitated. So, what now? Harper finally turned to him. Now we end it. The journalist, the girl, all of it. Jonah swallowed. We could offer them money by their silence, their past money. Harper said coldly. It's time to send a message. He opened a drawer and slid a file toward Jonah. Inside, maps, photos, surveillance shots. Tonight, take care of it. Back in Queens, 2:15 p.m. Lisette pulled her scarf tight around her neck. I can get this story to the press. But you need to disappear, Mara. You've done enough. Mara stared at the faces in the folder again. Ordinary people. Dead people. No, she said. Not yet. Lisette frowned. What are you planning? I'm going to record a confession, Mara whispered. Not mine. Harper's. I still have his voice on the USB. I can edit it, overlay the documents, the photos, tell the whole story in one video. Lisette's eyes widened. That'll go viral in minutes. Exactly. I'll schedule it to drop tomorrow morning. If anything happens to me tonight, it still goes live. Lisette exhaled. Okay, but where are you going now? To Harper and Mara. No, that's suicide. But Mara was already standing. Let him see me one last time. Let him think I'm scared, desperate, ready to bargain. She turned to Lisette, eyes sharp. While I'm inside, you leaked the video. Every file, every death, every lie. Harper's estate. That night Mara walked up the private drive with nothing but a flash drive in her pocket and a dead phone in her bag. She buzzed the gate. To her surprise, it opened. Harper stood in the foyer, wearing a suit like he was hosting a dinner party instead of a cover-up. Mara, he said smoothly, didn't expect you to come to me. I wanted to look you in the eye, she said. Before what? Before your world collapses. He chuckled, stepped aside. Come in. The house was quiet. No Jonah, no guards in sight. You don't have to do this, Harper said as he poured her a drink. I can make you disappear with money, not fear. I don't want your money. Then what? Justice. Harper's smile faded, and that's when Mara saw a faint red dot dancing on his shoulder. She glanced to the window. A sniper. No, Lisette. No, someone else. Harper stepped forward. You'll never make it out alive. And Mara whispered, neither will you. Final scene. Elsewhere, Cassandra closed her laptop after watching the scheduled video upload countdown tick down to just 7 hours. Jonah walked in. It's done, he said. Mara's inside. So is Harper. Cassandra poured herself a glass of wine. Good, she said. Let them destroy each other. She burned their empire to the ground, but the final twist broke. Hertha Mansion went dark, not slowly, violently. Every light, every hum of electricity, gone in an instant. A blackout. Harper's glass slipped from his hand, shattering against the marble floor. Mara didn't flinch. She'd been counting on this. Outside, somewhere beyond the estate gates, Lisette was triggering the upload. The files, the audio, the photos, everything was going public at 6 a.m. sharp. Mara checked the time. 5:14 a.m. Less than 1 hour left. Harper turned, his face unreadable in the shadows. Did you do this? You'll find out in minutes, Mara said. He moved closer, slow and steady. You really think this changes anything? He whispered. You think people care about truth, about justice? They care about comfort, money, safety. That's why I always win. I don't need to win, Mara said. I just need to end you. But before Harper could respond, the front door burst open. Jonah, armed, bleeding, sir. He gasped. It's Cassandra. She leaked the files herself. She threw you under the bus. Harper stared at him. What? She gave it all to the press. But she left out her name. She's selling you out. For the first time, Harper's mask cracked, and Mara realized, the final twist, it was never about Harper, it was always about Cassandra. She'd used Mara as the distraction, the bloodhound. She let her get just close enough to Harper, just loud enough, that no one looked behind the curtain. Cassandra had sacrificed Harper like a pawn, then vanished. Meanwhile, somewhere in Zurich, Cassandra leaned back in her private jet, watching the news light up on her tablet. Breaking. Tech giant CEO implicated in medical trial deaths and fraud scandal. Investor panic as Raincove files leak, dozens of lawsuits expected. She sipped her drink and smiled. A clean exit, blame absorbed, empire intact, and not a single trace of her name in the files. Mara released. She'd made sure of that. Back at the mansion, 5:32 a.m., Mara ran. She didn't know where she was going, just that Harper and Jonah were no longer on her side. No longer distracted, the lights still hadn't returned. The hallways felt like mazes. Empty photo frames stared down at her like ghosts. She burst into Harper's office and locked the door behind her. One last chance. She opened his laptop. The battery glowed dimly. Still charged. She accessed the hard drive, fingers flying, and there, it was. An email, unsent, drafted to Cassandra. You said you'd protect me. You promised. But I see it now. You only needed someone to bleed for you. I was never your partner, just your insurance policy. You can run, but this time, I'm not covering for you. Mara's hands shook. She clicked send, not to Cassandra. To every major news outlet in the country. A direct link between the two monsters behind Raincove, and then a gunshot. The door shattered inward. Mara hit the floor just as Jonah stormed in, weapon raised. But it wasn't Mara he was aiming for, it was Harper. Jonah's voice cracked. You lied to me. You said we'd all make it out. You said we'd be protected. Harper looked stunned. Jonah put the gun down. I killed for you, Jonah said. And now Cassandra's gone, and I'm the loose end. Another gunshot. Harper fell. Jonah stood shaking, and then he turned the gun toward himself. Don't, Mara breathed. But he didn't hesitate. Just like that, it was over. 2 bodies, 2 betrayals, and the sun breaking through the window. 6:01 a.m. Newsgoes, public phones buzzed across the city. TVs lit up with emergency headlines. Social media erupted. Raincove was trending in every language. Harper's voice, the leaked files, the testimony from victims' families, even the internal footage of Mara walking into the building the day she was humiliated in the lobby, that the world saw everything, and this time they cared. 2 weeks later, a small bench in Central Park. Lisette joined Mara on the bench. Coffee in hand. You could have run, Lisette said. No one would have blamed you. I did run, Mara whispered, but the truth followed me. Lisette smiled faintly. You destroyed them. Mara didn't respond right away. Her eyes were fixed on a mother walking by with a child, laughing, alive. 16 people died, Mara said. I don't feel like a hero. Lisette nodded. You weren't meant to. But you did what no one else dared. Mara pulled a folded photo from her coat pocket. It was Jen. Smiling. Before all of this, I forgave her, Mara said softly. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed to let go. She handed Lisette a small envelope. What's this? Lisette asked. My final file, Mara said. The full story. From my side. Publish it, or don't. But if I disappear again, you'll know why. Lisette held the envelope tightly, then stood. Where will you go? Mara gave a tired smile. Someplace where no one knows my name. Final scene, somewhere coastal. Months later, Mara stood behind the counter of a sleepy bookstore. A bell rang as an old woman entered. First day, the woman asked. Something like that. Mara smiled. Outside, waves crashed against the shore. Inside, she finally felt whole. Last line, emotional closure. Sometimes you lose everything, your job, your home, the people you trusted, only to find the version of yourself that was buried underneath it all. The end.